Welcome to Unleashing Happiness. I am your host, Cecilia Hendricks. And of course, not really surprisingly, I am super excited to be here today. And I am super excited that you're here today. I am really excited to talk today about kind of the framework of what I teach and why I teach it and how I got here. And then also talk about what our keystone habits are and how you can change some of your keystone habits to be more aligned with the type of life that you want to live. So to kick off, if you're new here, so again, I'm Cecilia Hendricks. I launched this podcast a few months ago because I had been on a little bit of a hamster wheel for a few years trying to understand how to really use kind of my mindset and law of assumption techniques and teachings to better my life overall. I wanted to really kind of have some areas of increased fulfillment, and I felt like I was on a little bit of a hamster wheel of not really getting where I wanted, but I was in some areas, just wasn't in others. So I really wanted to find some changes. And I found those when I started pairing those type of teachings with really focusing on my habits and my routines for the day and making changes for those. And I essentially found a very thoughtful process that I could put together to really see success in my life and start to see improvements, not only in my mental well-being, but in the way the world was reflected back to me, the way my finances were working, the home that I live, the relationships that I have. And I was like, wow, I should really, share this kind of out with other people. I would enjoy to. I used to share on the Reddit platform and had decided that that community just was not somewhere that I wanted to continue for my personal journey, and I needed to step away from that. But I still wanted to have a community that I could connect with and that I could share what I had learned and what had worked for me out with others. I just felt like this was a better way to do it. So I launched the podcast. I've launched a course. It's a Create a Life That You Love course. And I really started to share the different ways that I have made changes in my life using habits and law of assumption principles. And this has really made drastic changes for me, and it's made drastic changes for others who have utilized the process that I've put together. And so for today, I want to talk about kind of how this cycle works, looking at your keystone habits and what a keystone habit is, and how you can actually create new keystone habits for yourself, and how those tie into the state that you're dwelling in. If you're a follower of Neville Goddard, you have likely heard about states. States is essentially your identity, the place that you're coming from. You can be healthy or unhealthy. You can have a state of love or a state of desperation. You can have a state of wealth or poverty. The states are never ending, but a state is essentially your identity. And you can use your habits to actually change the states that you're coming from, the way that you identify and the person that you see yourself as. And that then begins to reflect back to you from the world and the way that things are falling into place for you. And it's really quite a beautiful process. And it's amazing once you start to put these together, how quickly you can see changes within your life. So when we look at it, our lives are truly habits, right? They're just a series of habits that we do throughout the day. Human beings are built from habits. And the more you become aware of this truth, the more that you're likely to start seeing it in your life and start paying attention to the habit routines that you are likely falling into and continuing on a day-to-day basis. And an example of this is to take a look at how you behave when you wake up in the morning. I think that's actually one of probably the easiest ones to start paying attention to, because you likely fall into a habit loop without even realizing that you're doing it. Because one, you're half asleep, you're just waking up. But two, it's become so ingrained to do these like boom, 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 boom steps that you start to not even notice, right? And the reason that you don't notice is because your brain is designed for you not to notice. We are designed for survival. Our brains are designed for survival. And part of what helps survival is to become much more efficient in the calories that we're using, efficient in the processes that we're doing. And the more that we can make something an unconscious or subconscious behavior, the better we are on conserving that energy and that brain power and the willpower that we have. Any habit that we fall into starts with a cue. So a cue is like the trigger for you that you're going to fall into this routine. So if you think about your morning, That's the routine of waking up. You wake up and possibly, let's say now you reach over and you grab your phone, you check it for the time, you check your messages, you check your social, you get up, you go to the restroom, maybe you splash some water on your face, you grab your robe, you go make coffee. If you start paying attention to these cycles, you'll find that in the morning you have a cue, which is waking up, and then it triggers another routine. And so let's say that your cue is waking up and grabbing your phone. And your intention may be to only grab your phone to see what time it is. Did you wake up on time? Are you waking up to an alarm that you have to turn off, whatever it is? But then so that's your routine, right? You wake up, you grab your phone. Now, at that point, though, you may fall into another cue that the phone is in my hand. And so now I'm going to fall into the routine of checking my socials, checking my email, checking my texts. Then before you know it, 45 minutes has passed and you're still just laying in bed scrolling your phone, because the social media platforms that we use, as wonderful and amazing as they could be for connection, are also designed to keep you on the app, right? Your notifications, the way that you're able to talk to people, the way that they refresh and you can keep scrolling forever and ever, are all designed to give you a reward within that routine. And that's the end part of a habit loop, is getting some sort of a reward. And you may not even be conscious right now of what that reward is. And you may think like, I'm doing this loop and I don't even like the reward. What am I doing? Like smoking, for example. You may have a cue, you fall into the routine of smoking a cigarette. And then at the end, you're like, I really don't want to keep smoking. But in your mind, the chemical release from all the chemicals in that cigarette are actually giving your body a reward. And that's what's continuing this cycle, the craving. So any habit starts with a cue. You fall into a routine, you get the reward. The more you have that reward, your brain's like, yes, I should keep doing this. This was fantastic. I like this. And this is where our keystone habits come in. So there's specific habits that you have that essentially kind of trigger additional habits, right? And so you could even consider like waking up, what we were talking about, as a keystone habit, because that habit then is triggering you to pick up your phone. The habit of picking up your phone is triggering you to scroll through your social medias, emails, whatever it is. So that is like a keystone habit that you fall into. And then there's other ones that can be really good for you, like making your bed, washing your face. There's things that you can do in your morning that kind of trigger more habits that have a domino effect. And this is how you start to really shift your identity in the state that you're in, is by figuring out how to build some core keystone habits that align to the person that you want to be, living this life that you want to live. And then that way you can use those to trigger other habits. It's truly like a domino effect. Once I do one thing, then essentially I want to do the other. It's why sometimes it's recommended that if you want to start a workout routine, well, then start by just putting on the workout clothes all the way down to the shoes. Do that for a couple of days. And then after a while, you'll notice this keystone habit of just getting up and putting on workout clothes instead of staying in your pajamas will trigger you to say, I should go do something. I'm going to go ahead and add a walk. And then you can even say, I'm going to do a walk for 5 minutes. I'm literally setting a timer and I'm going to go for 5 minutes. Well, after a few days of doing this 5 minutes, you're like, well, I'm already out here and it feels kind of good. Maybe I'll go for 15 minutes. Maybe I'll do 20 minutes. And this is how you start to build on your habits. And this is the way that you are able to slowly make these identity shifts in the person that you are. And you'll start to notice that these very small changes, one, not only are they much more sustainable when they're put into small sections like this, but it also triggers additional things for you to do and it feels good. And then before you realize it, your mindset is actually shifting along with these actionable things that you're doing within your life, because you are now a different person. You're a person who gets up and puts on a workout outfit and goes for a walk, even if it's just for 10 minutes. And I'm saying, even if it's just getting outside and doing a walk for 10 minutes is phenomenal. You're getting the morning light, you're getting movement in your body, you're doing something to show up for you. That 10 minutes is an amazing piece of your day. And if that's what you have to give, man, give yourself a pat on the back, because that's fantastic. You should feel really good about that. It's not just I just did this, or, oh, woe is me, I'm only doing this much. Anything that you get up and do, 30 seconds of you spending time putting into yourself and changing the way that you feel internally and the way that you view yourself and the way that you're taking care of yourself is 30 seconds very well spent and is really phenomenal for the changes that you're looking to make in your life. And so let's say that you want to really make some drastic changes in your life within the next 30 days, or honestly, even less. There are 2 keystone habits that I would add to your day in order to make these drastic changes with one kind of starting point. And so let me start with the starting point. You're going to either get out a piece of paper, or I actually put together a journal and a guide that you could use if you'd like. I'll link those down below in the show notes so that if you want that guide or that journal, you're more than welcome to grab it. If not, all you really need is a piece of paper, and you're going to essentially ask yourself 3 questions. The first one is going to be, okay, if I knew for a fact I only had 12 months left to live, there's no doubt this is ending 12 months, what would I start doing? And I have done tons of other episodes on asking these questions. And so if you've heard those before, it's always good to go back to this as well, because the more that you can return to it, the more that you're kind of creating these pathways in your brain. The more often you do something, you get the reward of like feeling good that you're doing something for yourself, the more likely you are to remember it than kind of maybe when you're in a struggling time or things are not going quite as you would like them to. So rehearing the information, going through the process is always phenomenal. And your answers may change over the months as your identity shifts, as your mindset changes, as your habits change. So then the second question would be, okay, if I knew I only had this amount of time left, what would I stop doing? And some examples of this, like start and stop, would be I would start telling people more of how I feel. I would compliment more strangers. I would be more kind to my body. I would talk to myself nicer. I would get outside more. I would experience more of the world. What would I stop doing? I would stop maybe snapping at my kids over things that don't really matter in the long run. I would stop putting myself down when I make a small mistake. I would stop spending hours every day scrolling my phone watching somebody else's life. Those are kind of things. And that's just examples. You may feel like those things in your life have a place and that's what you need to continue doing, or they may be completely drastically different than what I'm sharing. Like that's kind of the whole process here, is how things can change and how it's really about you. What makes you feel like you are doing the things to show up for yourself, that you're really being here for you, showing up for you and doing things that make sense for you, because it's you who matters. And then the last question is, okay, I have these things. What would I start doing? What would I stop doing? How do I want to feel when I go to bed tonight? Like when I'm getting into bed, how do I want to feel about my day? If I was living this life that had these amazing things happening and I felt like it was just more my ideal life and I am really enjoying the job that I have and I have the love of my life with me and I have wonderful friends and I'm experiencing all these wonderful things that I've always wanted to experience and that I would start doing in my life, and I'm not doing the things that I would stop doing in my life, how would I feel when I went to bed? And how do I want to feel when I go to bed? And something that's not necessarily within this process, but I do recommend that you do, is to start asking yourself throughout the day, okay, I know what I want to start and stop doing. I also know how I want to feel when I go to bed. Is my current activity, the thing that I'm doing right now, aligned with those things? Like, am I doing something that I said I wanted to stop doing? Am I doing something that's in direct opposition of something I said I wanted to start doing? Is this contributing to how I want to feel when I go to bed tonight? Or is this a habit and a routine that actually is not aligned to that? Because these habits and routines that you fall into, the things that you want to do, are truly reflective of the state that you're in, the identity that you're upholding. And so you can use those as key insights into where you're really dwelling. What are you really thinking? How are you really feeling? Based on the behaviors of things that you want to do, and use that for curiosity. It's not to beat yourself up. It's not to feel bad about what you're doing. It's to say, okay, this is not actually how I want to feel. This is not actually how I want to spend my life. This is actually something I want to stop doing. If I knew I only had so much time left, I wouldn't continue in this behavior. So don't do it now. And I get it. You may be thinking like, my goodness gracious, Cecilia, this is much easier said than done. And I understand that. And that's why you kind of start setting up processes for yourself to say, I'm going to slowly shift this. I'm going to look at my habits and see what are small changes that I can make to the habits and the routines that I'm keeping every day that would align more with my ideal self. And they can be super small. And so I've got two that I would recommend that you start adding into your day and creating these as like a keystone habit. And they're a keystone habit regardless of what your end result is that you want. So whether you're looking for love in your life, you want to increase your financial status, you want to get a career, you want to get into your dream school, whatever it is, if you want to change your life within 30 days or literally less, then these are the two things that I would start building into my day. And you could do just these two to get started. And I promise you will see drastic and amazing changes within your life, but you have to do them. Like, that's part of it, right? You can't just consume the content and then do nothing with it. You actually have to take the content and the information that you learn and start to implement it into your life. Actually make a plan. Say, okay, I'm going to listen to this podcast on my way to work. And then I'm going to spend, the next 24 hours really figuring out how to implement this into my life so that you have the information and the implementation plan, because you have to actually do the items in order to see the change. You can consume content all day long, and really the state that you're in at that point is one of lack, and that you're constantly looking for something different and you're constantly looking for a change. You have to put this into implementation. You have to do it within your life. So once you have those questions answered, you should have a better idea of like what you actually want, what you want to focus on. And so the first habit that I recommend you start adding to your life is that as soon as possible after waking up, you're going to start changing your first thought to one of, today is an amazing day and I'm so thankful that I get to live it, or something along those lines. Find the words that really sink into you and feel good to you. For me, it's today is an amazing day and I'm so thankful that I get to live it. Those ones, like, they just spark something in me and I feel good about it. And the way that you can do this, like, let's say that you are somebody who tends to roll over and grab your phone first thing, then what I would recommend is that you put a sticky note or some sort of note in replace of your phone or on the front of your phone. That way, when you go to grab it, you'll have an actual physical reminder, and that physical reminder then is becoming your cue. Another way that you can do this, if you feel like that's not going to work for you, is maybe put a note on your mirror, either write with crayons that you can use on the mirror, markers you can use on the mirror, or put a note on your mirror so that when you walk into your restroom that you can see that right away and think, okay, today is an amazing day. Today is an amazing day. And you may not feel it at first, right? Like at first you may be like, this is cheesy and this is corny and I don't really like doing it. And that's okay. Just keep waking up and doing it. And more that you do it, you'll start to notice that you start to pick up things in your life that make it an amazing day. And it could be small things at first. And you'll be like, whoa, there's more amazing things happening to me. Like all day, this amazing stuff is flowing into my life. And I found $10 on the street and I got the remarkable parking spot at work and a stranger complimented me and my hair is looking amazing. And, these shoes that I wanted were on drastic sale. Like you'll start to see these little things kind of popping up, and it gets really exciting to watch that. Then the second thing is your daily list of joys. So every day you're doing things that actually bring you a little bit of joy, but you're not really paying attention to them. And so get out your sheet of paper or your journal and start to write out things that are relatively small, but that you really enjoy doing, like the first cup of coffee in the morning, being outside in the sunshine, petting your dog, giving a friend a call, maybe working on a project that you have at home, doing a puzzle, reading a book, all these things, right? And the more that you do this, the more your list will build. You'll be like, wow, there's a lot more coming up for me that I didn't realize. And then spend each morning deciding 1, 5, 10, however many you want to do, but at least one that you're going to do that day and pay attention to. So let's say it's your first cup of coffee. You're going to actually pay attention to that first drink of coffee. How does it feel while you're drinking it? What does it smell like? What is like the feeling and the taste that you're receiving? And you can even tell yourself either out loud or in your mind, I'm doing this, I'm paying attention to this because I love myself and I'm bringing joy into my day. And in this small moment right now, becoming very concrete into this present moment, there is literally not one thing wrong. Everything right now is perfect. I feel joy. I feel happiness. I am living the life that I want to right in this very moment. And you'll actually feel that because there is nothing but that joy existing for you right then. You are putting so much of your focus and your attention on that joy that that's what you have for that moment of the day. And so every day you start focusing on these two things. You're going to change your morning thought and you're going to start adding the daily joys to your day. And I'm telling you, within 30 days or less, you are going to see drastic changes to your life. You can literally change your life in 30 days. And I keep saying or less because I think within that 30 days, sometimes you kind of fall off and you have to bring yourself back. Don't get frustrated. That doesn't mean you have to start over. It doesn't mean that you failed. Like there is no failure in this, right? There's only learning. So become curious. Why did I fall off? Why did I decide to stop doing this for myself? Why or how can I set up a better process so that I don't fall off of this again, so that I can do it again tomorrow? And then tomorrow you wake up and you just do it all over again. And essentially then you're teaching yourself a few different habits, right? One, you're setting up keystone habits of doing those two things every day. You're also providing yourself more forgiveness and love, which absolutely changes your entire self-concept and the way that you view yourself, the way that you treat yourself, and you're learning that you show up. You can do hard things. And even if you fall off, that doesn't mean that everything's over and you just failed and you can never do it again. It just means you got to get up and do it again. Like the next day, the next hour, the next minute, whatever it is. Get up, say, okay, why did I do this? What am I feeling right now? What triggered maybe me to fall back into this old habit? And how can I set up a better process so I don't do that again in the future and I'm able to remain focused the way that I want to? And then, of course, continually start asking yourself through the day, is this current behavior aligned with what I want to start or stop doing and with the way that I want to feel when I go to bed tonight? And just kind of start getting in the habit of asking yourself that. You can leave a sticky note. If you can't tell, I'm a big sticky note person. You can leave a sticky note like on your work computer. You can leave one in your car. You can leave one in your bathroom, on your fridge. And those can be the cues until you get a different cue kind of set up in your mind and it becomes more of just a habit to ask yourself throughout the day. You can actually create physical cues for yourself to remind you that this is what you want to do and this is how you want to focus. So before I end the podcast episode, I wanted to do a reminder that I'm doing a book giveaway. So I'll leave the link for that down below. It is currently only open to US residents, but you can definitely sign up to win my book giveaway. I'm really excited. It's 3 of my favorite titles, which is Neville Goddard's 5 Lessons, The Power of Habit, and Mind Hacking Happiness. So I'm going to give out those 3 books. And then I also have a book light that I really love. And so I was going to throw that in as well as my gift to you. So if you would like your opportunity to win that bundle, definitely sign up at the link below. And I hope to hear from you soon. I hope that you return. If you enjoyed this episode, definitely please subscribe, leave a review. If you're listening on YouTube, definitely leave a comment and let me know. I love hearing from everybody. And if there's things that you would like to have me talk about kind of in the future or videos to make, let me know. If it's outside of my wheelhouse, I never have a problem saying this is not something I'm overly familiar with. And I'm very honest about that because I don't want to step outside of kind of where I feel confident and that I feel like I'm able to provide you support and information. So I'll definitely tell you like, hey, that's outside of my wheelhouse. But hopefully anything else I would love to make content about. I absolutely love doing this. I love doing the YouTube channel. I love talking to people. So this has been phenomenal. It is a great thing for me. I love doing this sharing. I love doing the podcast. And I am so truly, truly thankful that you are here and you are listening. So have a wonderful and beautiful week. And I will be back on Monday with our mindset motivation. Thank you so much again for joining me today. One of the greatest things that you can do if you'd like to show me your support is either share this episode out with somebody that you think would really enjoy it and get some benefit from it, or you can also definitely subscribe and leave me a review. It helps way more than you may believe, and it's absolutely amazing and like the biggest compliment that you could give me. Again, I hope that you have an absolutely beautiful week, and I will be back next week.